intervention in Syria looks more likely than ever, with countries including the US, Britain, France and Turkey considering military action following last week's alleged chemical attack. Well, US Secretary of State John Kerry has reiterated that Washington has little doubt that the Assad regime was behind it, despite the fact that UN inspectors have yet to report back. Let's get the very latest now from RT's Marina Portnair. Marina, what was John Kerry's explanation as to why America says Assad was definitely behind this?
Well, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry was making more proclamations than explanations. He said that the use of chemical weapons in Syria last week is undeniable and that the U.S. has little doubt that it was a Syrian leader, Bashar al-Assad, who was behind the attack. Mr. Kerry says the Obama administration is still considering how to respond to the use of chemical weapons in Syria, but made it very clear that a response will take place. He said that the Syrian government's belated agreement to grant access to UN investigators came too late. That agreement, according to reports, came 5 days after there were reports of an alleged chemical attack near Damascus. Mr. Kerry says that Washington has additional information about last week's alleged attack, and that information will be provided in the days ahead.
While investigators are gathering additional evidence on the ground, our understanding of what has already happened in Syria is grounded in facts, informed by conscience, and guided by common sense.
It's unclear what facts Secretary Kerry is actually referring to, because just about 3 hours before he made his statement during a press briefing, we heard from the spokesperson for the Secretary General of the United Nations. At a press conference that was being held at the UN, the Secretary General's spokesperson says that the team of UN investigators in Damascus are still in the process of collecting samples, collecting evidence of the alleged chemical attack, and no conclusion has been announced or organized just yet. Take a listen.
The UN inspection team right now is back at its base. It's evaluating the material it's collected today. It was a very productive day. And once it's made its evaluations, it does intend to continue its work tomorrow. We're not giving the sites in advance of where they're visiting, but they do intend to continue their work tomorrow.
And Marina, how have America's allies responded to this prospect of military intervention thus far?
Well, some of America's European allies have voiced similar concerns, and similar aggressive statements have been made. In addition, warplanes and military transporters have reportedly arrived at the UK's Akrotiri Air Base in Cyprus, which is located less than 100 miles from the Syrian coast. According to the Guardian newspaper, C-113 transport planes and small formation fighter jets were seen flying in from Europe. Now, this leads many, of course, to interpret it as increasing preparations for a military strike, possibly against the Syrian government, which is led, of course, by Bashar al-Assad. Now, with Cyprus, of course, being the hub of the potential air campaign, because if all of these fighter jets are seen going to an air base there, many presume that Cyprus may play a significant role if an airstrike were to occur against Syria. Now, this development comes as many U.S. and many European leaders have taken a more aggressive tone against Mr. Assad, who the West accused of executing the mass chemical weapons attack last week that killed hundreds of people. But of course, there have been no verifications as to who ignited and launched this alleged chemical weapons attack. Even though the U.S. and its European allies have come to their own conclusion, the United Nations still has not come to a conclusion. They're in the process of leading an investigation, as we heard from UN spokesperson. So what we have here is the U.S. and its Western allies coming to its own conclusions and possibly acting on them in the days ahead.
Okay, Marina Portnair live from New York. Thanks very much.